Hi, welcome to Cooking with Steve G. I'm Steve G, and today I'm going to show you what to do with leftover pot roast. You won't believe your bowl. So I'm pretty sure that everybody at one time or another has made a pot roast. You know, you throw that big hunk of meat into that crock pot and load it up with potatoes, carrots, onions, garlic, and celery, and maybe even a couple packages of Lipton onion soup mix if you're old school. But once everybody devours the meat and eats their fill of potatoes, those who are watching their carbs don't eat the potatoes or the carrots, you end up with a whole bunch of broth, no meat, sometimes potatoes and carrots, but a lot of onions and garlic and celery. I'm going to show you what I do with that makes for an amazing meal, and it almost seems like it was prepared intentionally for that reason. All you're going to need is your leftover pot roast or whatever's left from it, a nice blender, a good sturdy blender, a bowl, a spoon, and whatever you want to garnish it with. Let's get started. So every pot roast is going to be different the way you end up with it, but this is what's left from my pot roast this time. All this beautiful broth, see that? Au jus or whatever you want. It's basically beef broth that's been rendering from hours and hours. We cook our pot roast for 12 hours, so it comes out nice and tender. So you can see there's a lot of carrots left in here, a lot of onions. I already removed the potatoes because I make potato tacos from those. But you can see here, there's celery, like here's some celery right there. See that chunk of celery? It's nice and soft. All these vegetables are just waiting to be pureed in a blender, yes. Sometimes you get some little leftover, shards of meat in there, but it definitely has a beef flavor. Almost with this much onion, it might even come out and taste like French onion soup. So I'm going to show you how easy it is. You just take this and heat it up, get it kind of like, lukewarm, and then we're going to go ahead and pop it in our blender. So I've got my handy dandy Vitamix blender here. It's one of the best blenders on the market. And just going to take this and we're going to go ahead and pour it in here without trying it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to show you a better way to do this. So we don't make a huge mess and splatter everything all over the place. We're going to take our vegetables and we're just going to drop them in using a slotted spoon. Genius, huh? Comes up years and years of experience of hearing my wife talk about the mess I make in the kitchen. So I've tried to improve on my technique of splattering things on the ceiling. And this is one of them. Anytime I have to pour something with a lot of liquid and chunks of anything in it into a blender, I remove those items first and then just pour in the broth. And there's minimal splatter. Oh, almost minimal. So there you go. Got it in our blender. We're just going to put on our lid like so and turn on our blender and puree this into a soup. Start out on low and then just continue to turn it up. Put it on high and let it rip. Let's have a look and see how it's coming out. Let's see what the consistency is. As you can see, we got a nice thick consistency there. If you don't like it thick like this, you can add some more beef broth to it if you like. But I'm going to taste it for salt really quick and see if it needs any salt. So at this point, you'll season it to your liking. Add some salt, then hit the blender again and get it mixed in. Give it about a minute or two for the salt to actually dissolve into the soup. A lot of times people over salt, and the number one reason is they salt it and then they taste it right away, and the salt hasn't even dissolved, so it never really tastes as salty as it is. So 5 minutes later they come back and taste it after they salted it again, and now it's too salty. So salt, wait about 3 minutes, then taste it. So we got our nice pot roast soup there. This is how I like to garnish it, so it just doesn't eat like, you know, plain old baby food. I made some nice croutons here, some Italian seasoning on those, because what goes delicious with pot roast, which is always that nice piece of bread, you know, that you dip up all the sauce with. These go good right there. And then of course, a little bit of cheese in here that'll melt nicely, and that nice hot soup around the edges. And then just kind of give it a little bit of a French onion soup feel right here. And then I've got some fresh avocado that you can just lay down here on the sides like that. And there you go, folks. A really nice pot roast soup. Not just your everyday pot roast right there. Let's have a taste. Let's go in for a taste. I'll show you how I like to taste it. First, I take one of these delicious croutons, homemade, the best, still hot, steamy, and I like to just pick up some of that sauce and the soup, I'm sorry, pick up some of that soup and the cheese, and in it goes. Listen for the crunch. Oh man, almost tastes like a roast beef sandwich. So good. There's the soup, nice and creamy. Man, God, it tastes amazing. It almost tastes like a carrot and onion and beef soup. Just heavenly. Really, really great for the winter. And if you've ever done this, and I have in the past, and I'm ashamed to say that I have tossed out the leftovers from a pot roast. All the broth and all the vegetables that didn't get eaten. It's just, I mean, we're just two of us, and it's hard to, you know, to eat a huge pot roast. But doing it like this, we get like 2-3 meals out of it. One other thing. If you make more soup than you can eat, it freezes really, really great in these containers. You can buy these online, come with a nice plastic lid, just fill them up to this bottom line here. I always like to stick a sheet of plastic wrap on top of the soup to help prevent freezer burn. Put the lid on, and you can store it in your freezer for up to 6 months.